أتاني مرة نزق ليسألني بما دنت، فقلت له أنا رجل أحب الله يا أنت، أتسأل كيف منهاجي أما بالحق آمنت، عباد الله إخواني فكن منهم إذا شئت، وكن معنا على حذر من التفريق إن صنت.
ونعوذ بك من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا، من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. I bear witness there's no one worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the last and final messenger. There be no messenger after him, and we send our blessings and salutations upon Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala wa ajma'een, and at the same time we thank all the people who have come before us, who helped to carry this deen forward, and who really worked hard for this religion so that this religion stays and we become the carriers of this religion. As you know, a lot of you have been talking about one of the things that we celebrate this day for, which is the anti-bullying day, and we all stand up for no bullying. And unfortunately, I've said this before as well, and I say this again, Islam celebrates every day, on every day of your life. So any day you have, either it's a bullying day, or the man's day, or the woman's day, or the children's day, or the father's day, or the mother's day, and the list keeps on going. Islam has these days celebrated every day. And so we should be, as a Muslim, have to understand that we have to abide by the covenant that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, mithaq, which is a covenant. And that covenant is to believe in Allah. And then at the same time, we have to do everything that is required by a Muslim. So today, because it's a bullying day and you guys have been speaking about anti-bullying and the actions that you have to take, so I thought I'll take some time out and speak about this day. And when I was speaking and when I was doing a research about this day, where it stemmed from, and I came across a story back in England in 1967. A story about a kid called Stephen Shepherd. And this is a story about this kid who was 11 years old. And it's a very heartwarming story. And it brings a lot of emotions. It talks about this little kid that went to school and he had these funny looking round specs. And he also used to limp a little bit because he had an accident in some part of his life and he couldn't walk properly. And then it also talks about how he was from a disorientated family where his parents had separated and they were not together. So on a daily basis, he would be kicked around by some of his class fellows, and he was taunted, he was bullied, and he was said things, and he didn't feel good about these things. The story goes on to say, he's a very strong person in itself. But let's wait and stop over here, and let's just ponder on being a Muslim. how do we treat people around us? Our friends in the class or the people who are not our friends. And on a daily basis I hear in the playground, if I'm on a duty, that a child will come crying and say, a higher school kid, not saying high school, but I mean higher to those children, and they'll say, a big kid punched me or he pushed me. And this happens. And sometimes it's the same kids. Sometimes you might just make fun of one child because that child may be different from what you perceive of the world to be. And then when he or she comes around, then you make fun of her and you say something about him or her. So really, being a Muslim, we are giving this message out here that this is something which is not from Islam, and we never believed in any sort of racism or anything that came with that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, the translation is as follows, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this world and these heavens and earth, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also created different languages, and He created you into different colors. So that does not mean now we have a right to belittle or to mock someone for the way they look or the way they speak or the way they walk or the way they talk. It does not give us any right to do that. So going back to the story of Stephen, his sister recalls that one day Stephen was going to a town in Wigan, and this is very close to where he used to live, and there was a strawberry picking garden over there, and he went to this garden, and apparently he was the last one to be on the bus because someone did not come on that day, so they decided to take Stephen with him because Stephen was not even on the list. And when he went there, Stephen felt really happy. Stephen was very happy on that day, and the sister said, I wish the life stopped for Stephen on that day because I've never seen Stephen that happy in my life. And that was very powerful. In the next few days that were to come in Stephen's life would change the history, what was about to happen in the history of England and the history of the Western countries, and how the definitions of bullying was to be written down. So, few days passed, the same old things started happening to Stephen, and now one day Stephen goes missing. And now this is a big search that is laid. A lot of people are thinking maybe he's kidnapped, and the parents and police, and they say a large number of police came together, and then they started searching the area and going through the tracks of Stephen. Eventually they found him in a ditch that was covered by sand, by mud, and later on the findings proved that Stephen had made a ditch for himself, and it was a rainy day, and it was like a slide that was coming down, and it filled with water and mud, and he was just waiting, and he took off his specs and he removed everything that hurt his life, and he just laid there till he was succumbed by his death. And basically later on they found out that this was no murder or no kidnap, it was a bullycide. A bullycide is when someone is bullied and he decides to take a break from this world so that he does not come back. And really, let's stop over here and think about many stories. I mean, we talk about how good of a Muslim we are, and you know, a lot of times we may evaluate people on the way they look, on the language they speak, on the color of their skin. And you know, I will say this, and I always say this in other speeches as well. We all say that we love Bilal. And if we were in the power of authority, and if Bilal came and he said, can I share that authority with you, you would, or myself, I would not make ghulu and say that you would. Myself, I would say that you're not from my community, Bilal. or Bilal, you do not have the color of my skin, so you cannot be part of this committee, or you can't be the part of this. And this is what we do on a daily basis. We talk about bullying, mashallah, everyone learned about bullying. We made these great posters in the class today. And what's going to happen tomorrow? You're going to come back and you're going to start doing the same thing that you did to the kid that you thought was funny and it was okay to make fun of that kid. It will happen again. And it is exactly when we bully Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahi, and I say this, and I am catching my tongue when I say this. We come over here, we make a covenant with Allah that I am going to come here, I will stand for Allah and I will be quiet to Allah. I will be quiet and I will pray as if it's a salah. But what happens? We come back and we become a bully. And we bully Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we say to Allah, show us your power. I'm going to scream today. I'm going to make fun of this place. Show me your power if you have power. And this is what we do. Really, we need to be mindful of our actions. That how are we living this life? Are we living this life according to the religion that we stand by? We have great values. I mean, if someone was to read our book and not to see us, I guarantee you he would come to Islam. We will have floods of people coming to Islam. But unfortunately, it's people like myself and people that we are, that people restrain or they avoid coming to this religion. And we need to start thinking about how we should be taking this religion forward if we really want to hold on the covenant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفر الله إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. So really, boys and girls, and my fellow teachers and elders, I really want to say this, that this religion of you was a gift that was given to us. And this religion applies in every part of our life. No matter we're in the school, no matter we may not like someone, no matter we may like someone, no matter someone just gets on our nerves, and someone we cannot stand him or her, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him like that. If you do not like the color, then Allah made his color. If you do not like the way he looks, then Allah made him like that. If you do not like the race he came from, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made his race as well. If you do not like anything about him, and before you go all out on him, you really need to understand, when you are carrying the flag of this religion, then you should be carrying every quality of this. It's not pick and choose. It's not something is easy and I will do that, and something is hard and I'm not going to do that. Really, as a Muslim, we have to be a Muslim. We are either a Muslim or we are not a Muslim. So Muslim is a Muslim. Muslim is the one who believes in Allah. Muslim is the one who fears Allah. Muslim is the one who loves Allah. Muslim is the one who hopes in Allah. So if we do all those things, then we really have to translate that in our actions as well. And really, on a daily basis, ask yourself, in the classrooms, people make fun of each other. I'm not going to work with that girl. Am I going to work with this girl? I'm not going to work with that boy. That boy is smelly. Have you seen her glasses? I mean, this is something that we do on a daily basis. You know, we are living in this environment. We're conducive to this environment. How are we going to come out and really stand by our values? There is, mashallah, it's great to make a poster and hang it on the wall. But when are you going to memorize that poster and act upon that poster? I believe everyone made a great poster in primary school or high school, and you all stood by it. You put a lot of graphics and you put a lot of thought in those posters. But if you're not going to act upon it, then there is no point. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu lima taquluna ma la taf'alun. Why do you say things that you're not going to do? It's exactly like saying I'm going to stand up for bullying, But when you're the only one after making that poster, probably you should have put your picture in the middle of that poster, avoid this person, and that's what we are doing. Really, we need to rethink ourselves. Why do we come to this place? What are we achieving out of this religion? What do I want to become out when I finish school? All these questions. I mean, we can talk about all these great days. As last week we spoke about women, as this week we're speaking about bullying, and maybe it might be another week, next week it might be about someone else. But we can talk about everything. But unless we're not going to change ourselves, Allah will never change our situation. We'll ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He changes our situation. And He makes us from the ones that are the ones who say and we do those things. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us understand the differences that we have between us and make us love each other for the ones who we are. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be forgiving, to have a lot of patience. Whenever we don't like something, so we have patience and we coincide with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so that He helps us. Allahumma ahdina fi man hadayt, wa afina fi man afayt, wa tawallana fi man tawallayt, wa barik lana fi ma a'tayt, wa qina wasrif anna bi fadlika sharra ma qadayt, fa innaka taqdi bil haqqi wa la yuqda alayk, fa innahu yudillu man walayt, wa la yu'izzu man adayt, tabarakta rabbana wa ta'alayt, la manja minka illa ilayk, lakal الحمد على ما قضيت نستغفرك اللهم ونتوب إليك نستغفرك اللهم ونتوب إليك اللهم اغفر لنا وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات ومنهم الأحياء والأموات وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين أقيم السلام.